Okay. I think the story of parenting is usually, it's very hard to take our eyes off the micro. More than most aspects of our lives, parenting forces you into the grubby, the immediate, the tearful, the urgent. It's very difficult to see what is the important. So it means that you, in moments of absolute joy, you remember them. Let me just share one memory with you. This is a photo I took on a holiday to Scotland. These are my 3 kids. This was just after lockdown, so they're all a bit bigger now. I was around stag country. I hadn't been to Scotland before. I thought it was possible to find stag with my family, so I walked us up the nearest hill because that morning I'd seen stag at the top. And obviously, by the time I got there, they had long gone. And this was lunch, up a hill, searching for stag. And my 3 children look relatively happy. I took this picture as a memory. And in that moment, you think, this is winning. This is parental winning. After this photo was taken, the rain started. And I've always thought that I've got 3 children, that there's a sort of rule, I think, which is can only one of you cry at a time. Can we just, so that, you can fix one. And the rain and the cold, up a hill, a long way from the house, essentially one after the other started crying. They were wet through. And my wife, Mary, stayed loyal to the end, but I knew everyone was thinking, Dad, why on earth are we doing this? I walked down the hill, sort of lifting 2 children and clamping them to my side because they were unable to walk. And as I walked down, I had a different kind of memory, which is, this is one of those very memorable parenting fails. This is one of those moments that I'll not forget. It's illustrative of how quickly a parenting dream falls through your fingers and what you're left with is sort of parenting fail. And it's this kind of moment that I just want to start with because it allows us to wonder, what are we dreaming of? In parenting, what are we hoping is going to be success? Because whether we have ever thought it or said it out loud, we do know what our parenting dream is. We do have in mind, this is what I'm trying to achieve, and it means that will motivate our actions. And it will be partly based on our personalities. If we are a neat, organised person, we will be driving our family towards a permanent, better state of cleanliness. If we are an outdoors kind of person, when we'll drive our children to be outdoors, believing that that will be the place we go. These are good things. You expect me to say that. But I do want to think for a moment about, what is the dream? What is the goal? And maybe just for us to retune that a little. Let me share with you a parable you know very well. To some who are confident of their own righteousness and look down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, I thank you I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give 1/10 of all I get. Put it into the language of a parent. Father, I thank you I'm not like other parents. I thank you that my family has got it sorted. Thank you that when I walk into church, people look at me and think, I'm doing this. Thank you that the Bible gets opened and prayers get prayed. Nutritious food gets cooked. Now, I have to say, I've never met the parent who speaks like this. I'm not even sure I've met the parent who thinks like this. But I wonder if this parent represents the dream we have. We would be succeeding as a parent the day we can say, Lord, I thank you I'm no longer like other parents. I thank you I have now got it together. I thank you that now things are ordered. My children obey on my first word immediately. Is this the parenting dream? But the tax collector stood at a distance. He wouldn't even look up to heaven, but he beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. The other parent stood at a distance in the shadows and cried out, God, have mercy on me, the inadequate parent. God, have mercy on me, the failure. God, have mercy on me, who never catches up, whose kitchen is never clean, whose children have never washed behind their ears. I see the grime. God, have mercy on me. We have two parents, and they represent a vision of parenting. So you get to ask yourself, even though you know how this parable is going to end, which am I hoping to be? God, I thank you I'm not like other parents. God, have mercy on me, a failure. I tell you, it's this man rather than the other who went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and all those who humble themselves will be exalted. Smug dad, scruffy dad. Smug mum, scruffy mum. Jesus says, will you aspire to be scruffy dad? Because he sees God's dependence. Lord, have mercy on me, a parent. Nothing seems to be working. That one leaves right before God. So first of all, we have to see God's heart for parenting. God's heart for parenting. God's parenting dream is dependence upon him day by day. Day by day. Dependence upon him day by day. Can I just quickly do a gender stereotype? I think I mentioned this yesterday. We do a podcast. My colleague Amy and I do a podcast every fortnight for parents. And we had a guest on called Laura Wiffler. She's founded an American Christian motherhood charity called Risen Motherhood. And they're a big charity. And they did a survey of 10,000 Christian women, and to find out how they're feeling, what's going on. 92% of Christian mothers out of 10,000 said burdened, weighed down by guilt. So I was hearing this stat for the first time on this podcast, and I was, as an ex-engineer, I was like, this is extraordinary. 92%. 92%. You never get 90% of anything. Like 92% is sort of the number of people with two legs. Like 92% is literally everyone. And I was like going into sort of engineer male euphoria at this incredible stat with these two women on the podcast with their head in their hands, sort of like, have you never met a mother? Have you never spoken to your wife? Who are these 8% of nutcases who aren't burdened by guilt? I've never met them. 92% of Christian mothers burdened by guilt. And this parable says, who are you relying on to achieve? Who do you think is the one who you rest on and you depend upon for your children's well-being, for their future, for being alive at the end of today? I also mentioned yesterday that I didn't know I was an angry man until I became a father. So my second gender stereotype is, as I talk to dads, I hear that anger is a big thing. I think it's just a classic male response to the same problem. If it is on me to get my kids through each day, if it is on me to run to the routine that I've never told my children, then the place I go is anger. Have you not got the memo? Have you not understood what time I planned to leave the house? Why haven't you prepared everything? We have a second podcast for the whole family to listen to together with my friend Jam. Jam tells a story of discovering that every single Sunday he was getting angry with his family as they left for church. And he got to the point of, this is literally my fault. I am the one who decides when we will start the process. How unfair it is that every single week I'm angry with my family because they're late. It's on me. I'm not saying he fixed it or he stopped being angry. How do you respond to your family not achieving your parenting dream? And what is the godly response? Clearly, this is to lift a burden. What is it to be a Christian parent? To be a Christian parent is to say, there is one who loves my children more than I do. There is one in control of my children more than I am. Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner. Just before we go into a practical one, I think you were here yesterday. I gave you this verse. So I just want to give you these two pearls from the Lord. Firstly, a parenting dream is the parent who says, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. They are right before God. And secondly, the prayer we have for our children is that one day they will say, see what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. The reason the world does not know us is that it did not know him. So if our hearts are set to, Lord, have mercy on me, I rest my children in your care, I am dependent on you for their care and not me, and my greatest prayer for my children is that one day they would say, I'm a child of God. Because in eternity, if we are stood next to our children, they will be our brothers and sisters. And we will not be checking the grime behind their ears. We will be celebrating and worshipping the Lamb stood next to our children as brothers and sisters. Their identity is more defined by being a child of God than by being our children. Okay. I gave you two households. Two households. Next door to each other, two beautiful families. One a Christian family, the other not. One seeking, aspiring to be smug dad. One all out for, I want to be impressive. I want to win at parenting. The other seeking all out to say, Lord, have mercy on me. Performance is not what I'm aspiring to. Dependence on God is. One set seeking for their children to be good, impressive, and probably to follow the idols of their heart. Seeking good. The other saying, I want them to know what it is to be a child of God. So they have 3 children. They have left out Lily. I mentioned left out Lily yesterday. I've had one. Left out Lily is 14. She cries every Sunday night. Why would you send me to to school, when I have no friends? Wrong trainers, Matty. Why do I have these trainers? My life is ruined because you won't buy me the trainers I've asked for. I am the only one in the world with these trainers. No child of my age has ever worn these trainers. Why would you do this to me? Are you cruel? These trainers cause me to be left out at school. And thirdly, scared of the dark Sophie. Will you sit at my door while I go to sleep? Don't turn off the light. Hold my hand. I have a scared of the dark Sophie. I wonder what it is that happened to that child that means this child is terrified of being left alone and the others aren't. Scared of the dark Sophie can't be left. The light has to be left on. The door has to be wedged open. I have to read until they fall asleep. Hours of my life are spent sitting at a door. What did we do to you that led to this? Each of these 2 families who live next door to each other have a left out Lily, a wrong trainer's Matty, and a scared of the dark Sophie. I've given you 2 pearls from the Lord. I'd love you to pick one of these, or, crazy thought, you could pick your own child, because I guarantee every one of your children has a hang-up, grandchildren, kid in your church. What is the difference in the conversation if you are not trying to win in the short term, but to be reliant on the Lord, and to teach them the same. If this is not failure, but an opportunity, and if this is an opportunity to talk of what it is to be a child of God. If you were sat on a park bench talking to your brother or sister in Christ, and this was their problem, and they were your age, how would you be showing them the Lord in that moment? Okay? Take 4 minutes or talk about absolutely anything, because I'm not sat next to you. Have a chat. Let me say something about each of these three, and then you can respond, ask a question, or think with me. The first thing to say is, normally these conversations don't happen in the heat of the issue. So normally you're trying to avoid sort of screaming, "I'm going to tell you why Jesus doesn't want you to have trainers!" Because it usually doesn't impact the heart. So first of all, it is okay in a moment of, "I hate you because of these trainers." It is okay to say, "I'm sorry to hear that, dear. Could I get you something to eat? I think a sandwich would help right now." Or why don't we just pray about that? So you don't, it is okay to think in terms of, as a parent, you have the long term. You do not have to fix the next 10 minutes. Okay? So you're not running a 1 hour session. So you do just get to say, "Thank you, your feedback is helpful on your trainers. We'll return to this at another time." If they're 5, you return to it in 2 minutes' time, because that's how long it takes to emotionally get over the argument. And if they're 18, you take about 3 months. So you get to pick the time scale so they remember the issue, and you also pick the moment. This is a moment. We're going to go out for breakfast on a Saturday. We're going to go for a walk with just you, even if I've got 5 children, to talk about that thing, or for a little bit of the walk to talk about that thing. So left out Lily, I've had one. The mistake I made was to go with the house who aren't Christians. I phoned up teachers. I dropped emails to head teachers. I spoke to parents of kids in her class. I asked her how she was making friends and tried to improve on the technique. I asked how she was keeping friends and tried to improve on the technique. I did sort of relay with my wife to work out which one was going to fix the issue. And then I discovered I couldn't fix the issue. It wouldn't work. I don't know if she's bad at making friends. I've got no clue. But the point is, I can't fix it. I can't make her a different person. I shouldn't want to make her a different person. So I started to pray with her before bed, in tears. And sometimes I'd cry. "Dear Lord, when my daughter goes in tomorrow, would she know that you go with her? And even if no one in the whole playground talked to her, would she know the King is sat next to her? The King will never leave her. And so, Father, either help her to know that for certain, or give her someone to make those moments easier." And I'd pray with her, and she'd listen. And I definitely worked out, this is all I've got. This is the only thing I have to help my daughter, because I'm not going to walk into school with her every day. And I would realise, if I'm going to pray for a miracle in front of her, because that's what it felt like every day, then there'd be a moment she'd walk back into the school and I'd look at her and say, "How did it go?" And we would both know that was code for, "Did God give you a miracle?" Whereas coaching a technique in making friends would be easier because you're not reliant on a miracle, or you're not worried that, well, if there is no miracle, she'll never trust God. I think to be a parent is to hold out that faith, which is, I have nothing else. This is on him to deliver. And I'm going to share that with my child because that's the story of faith. Wrong Trainers Matty is a colleague. And at this point, he'd helpfully say, you can buy any trainers you like. Firstly, it's not actually about the trainers. But you need to know, and your child needs to know, that one day the trainers you buy next will have the same problem. And the joy of being a parent is you are the world expert on your child, so you get to work out what is underneath this issue. Is it actually about trainers? Is it actually about sport? Is it actually about running faster? Is it actually about the colour red rather than the colour yellow? Is it actually about boys who don't want to wear pink or something? Or is it actually about just a longing just to be able to just fit into a crowd? Because that longing, that's a longing for the gospel. That's a longing to belong. That's a longing to come home. That's a longing to be loved. It's a longing to fit in. It's longing for unconditional love. Come in. I'll never turf you out. You belong. You are safe. Now that can satisfy the heart, even if you never owned a pair of trainers. And finally, scared of the dark Sophie. Scared of the dark Sophie, well, I'm encouraged that scared of the dark Sophie wants me to pray with her. I'm encouraged she's understood that that counts. That when I don't hold her hand, there's something for her heart other than just me being in the room. So first of all, could I teach scared of the dark Sophie to know how to pray when she's on her own and scared of the dark? For the day I'm not at her door? Could we get to the point where I leave and say, you could pray? Could I help? Could I help? Take a breath. A question, an irritation, a problem, an anger you have that you just want to share, ask. A thing you talked about in your group that you want to just give us because it would be really helpful. A thought you've got.
Thinking about long trainers, Matty. We were on the moor yesterday with a group from here.
Yeah.
Doing geocaching. Basically, there was a little letterbox they had to find, a little plastic container,
Yeah.
and they had a stamp in there.
Yeah.
And this young girl, I was one of the organisers, and this young girl was really upset because she wanted to put the stamp on her hand.
Yeah.
And Dad said, no, that's all right. I said, well, I'll just go down and get the stamp for her. And he said, no, that's all right, don't worry.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, well, that will solve the problem. She
Yeah.
stopped crying. So I jumped down, got the stamp.
Yeah.
But that was a typical example when
Yeah.
maybe that wasn't a real issue of the stamp, but I just thought, well, I like to do it as the organiser. I don't want to make
Yeah.
I don't want her to cry.
Thanks, Rob. We all are grateful for people who want to help. Yeah. I remember vividly a meal with my parents-in-law, and where my son was refusing to eat potatoes, and my mother-in-law said, "Ed, I'm just going to get some more potatoes," and I remember screaming, shouting back at her, "This is not about potatoes!" I suspect she was more right than I was in that moment. But I think to be a parent, you really are tuned to, this is not about potatoes. And sometimes I'm wrong and sometimes I'm right. Thanks. Thanks for stamping her on. Anyone else?
I think the other thing about trainers is it's about fitting in, but it's also about identity.
Yeah.
And it depends on the age of the teenager, but you can sort of encourage them, like, you're not identified by your trainers. But
Brilliant.
you don't necessarily put it that way because you're not your child. But I remember growing up, so much of it was, kind of lad, I want to fit in.
Yeah.
It's like, who am I?
Yeah.
I want to be that guy on Nike because that means
Yeah.
the world to me.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think that's super helpful. It is all about identity. From the age of 8, the longing for who am I, and the security we can offer our children is something that answers that. We're not going to withhold everything from them that allows them just to simply be anonymous in the back row of a classroom. But we are going to keep on thinking, what messages about identity do I get?
My son says, why can't I just be normal?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think that is the cry of the heart of a young person. Can I tell you about what it's like growing up in a family of fans? Whether you care about football or not. I happen to be a football fan, and I've tried to raise my children the right way to be a football fan. And one decided to start supporting Wolves solely based on the fact their symbol was a wolf. He had no idea that there's a place called Wolverhampton. Yeah, well done. I'm glad you do. We need all kinds. So the frustration of having bought baby grows with the right emblem on and the right shirts, only to have him support a club he'd never been within 50 miles of because of a wolf. And another son then started supporting Spurs. And what it occurs to me is when you meet a fanatical family of football fans, or even a fanatical family of anything fans, you notice the creativity that is at work to get that into their kids. You know, and it starts with like spending disproportionate amounts of money on whatever the baby grow, the shirt, the short, the kit. And then that becomes the present for every relative in the family. And it becomes the let's do a match day, let's have a party in the special room, or someone that has a box and can we get... You start to be creative. You start to work out who's the funniest football fan I know, who I can get into their life. Who's the female football fan for my daughter. Now this all sounds very strange to you, but it's clear to you the point I'm trying to make. With those three examples, there is a temptation to think, what's the killer line for each of these three problems? What's the 4 sentences Ed is saying I need to say? To be a football fan is to be creative, is to realise I've got 4 sentences today, but I need different 4 sentences tomorrow. If I'm going to continue to plug away, to raise my child the right way, I'm going to need other people in their life. There's a piece of research done called Sticky Faith about 15 years ago by the Fuller Institute in America that looked into what makes faith stick into adulthood, because about half keep faith into adulthood. So what makes faith stick? And they found that the number 5 is critical. They found that it takes 5 people in a child's life to be spiritual role models that makes faith stick. That is a key determiner of whether you take faith into adulthood. In other words, rather than the right answer, is there a range of people offering modelling, role modelling? Is there an uncle figure? Is there a grandfather figure? Is there a baby sister figure? Is there a big brother figure? Is there a mum and is there a dad? Is there a Sunday school leader? So maybe one exercise is, if you grew up in a Christian home, you could just count off, could you name the 5? I was having lunch with someone yesterday who could name their Sunday school teacher as one of her 5. She couldn't tell me the name of any primary school teachers. She couldn't tell me one lesson that Sunday school teacher taught her, but she could tell me 10 ways that Sunday school teacher had shown her love and care and modelled faith for her. To be a family of fans means we then want to be part of a wider family of fans.
But when you sorry.
Go on.
Yeah. So when you say family,
Yes.
the 5 figures.
Yes.
So I'm immediately thinking of myself.
Great.
Or, let's say Richard. So
Yes.
those who live 1,000 miles from immediate family.
Yes.
Right. So
Exactly.
are we sort of doomed?
No. So I mean, my point is first of all, family language is Bible language.
Right.
Think of older men as fathers. Think of younger women as sisters. So the language of family is God's family in faith we're talking about. So if we live 100 miles from their blood grandfather, is there someone in church who's a grandfather figure? And rather than sort of arbitrarily picking an elderly man and saying, you know, is there an older man in church who already knows my son's name? Is there an older man in church who has discovered something they have in common? And there's just a chat. How can I as a parent just encourage that relationship? And it might be as blunt as asking your son each Sunday, will you just sit with him for 5 minutes? Knowing actually this is how relationships... As a parent, you can intentionally help relationships. Am I answering your question or are you asking me something totally different?
No, you sort of answered, but then the practicality of that, so that I will sort of need to sort out,
Yeah.
if I can say, so
Yeah.
other people to be role models for my children.
Yeah.
So it's not coming from them, it's coming from me asking them to be role models for me.
Yeah, I think so, and there's a mixture. So, for instance, I mean, you start with you. You then look in your local church as the obvious place, and you then just think to yourself: is there one person in the church who my son or daughter has resonated with? It could be 2 years older than them. It could be 60 years older than them. So I think first of all you look at where are the relationships already happening, and just as a parent saying this is significant, even if neither of these two think it is. If you have some students who are passing through, or if you have some young people, I mean, if you have an under 11, my goodness, they notice the 11s to 18s in church, and they become the coolest people in the whole world. When a 16-year-old offers to pat the hair for a 7-year-old, it is a miraculous, magical moment. It's never forgotten. So, I think to tell a 16-year-old girl, do you realise my daughter thinks you are a hero, and everything you say is listened to? There's a coaching moment for that 16-year-old girl. Could I just ask you to ask my daughter one question while you plait her hair? And would you promise me you'll finish plaiting her hair with a prayer? No, I can't do that. Well, let's have a go. You know, this is how role models have developed and built. So I think it's asking a parent, because a parent is X-ray vision anyway on what's happening in their kid's life. And we're saying the Bible story is, it's never always on one parent. Don't panic if you can't do the 5 yet. Start with 2. Start with 2. Or invite someone around to have a meal in your home. That's how a third could be found.
Can I just share a moment from this morning?
Yeah.
My husband's working really hard and he's not here at camp with me, and so I have 3 kids to look after. And my good friend Rob, who's sat there, he walked past and said, "Oh, is there anything I can do for you this morning?" I was like, "Actually, if you can help me wash up, that'd be amazing." We went to do that together, and then my 4-year-old came up to need the toilet, so left Rob washing up. Which I just thought was like, that's just a great encouragement. He's just showing Jesus to my kids by helping washing up. He's could have just walked past.
Yeah.
And then in that time, my 4-year-old locked himself in the toilet.
Yeah.
And so I had 2 other children
Yeah.
running free, and then I ran out to Rob like, "Have you got anything?" I did pray with George before I left him actually. I was like, "Thank you God, I can pray to you, 'cause this is quite stressful."
Yeah.
Nipped out to Rob, who always carried a, what do you call it, Rob?
Never.
Like a Swiss Army knife tool, and got him out.
Yes.
But then
Look at that, Rob.
he was like, right place, right time, answered prayer. But then afterwards,
Yeah.
me and the 3 kids and Rob, 3 boys, just shared some time chatting, and he had conversations with faith with them, and it's those organic moments that aren't from me, and that just do exactly what you said, which will shape my boys' future. And it was just a proper God moment after something really stressful.
Okay. Okay.
And they know Rob, you know, they're familiar with him.
It's so good, okay? So good. So this is perfect. So the only strange part now is you're going to whisper in Rob's ear later, "You're one of the 5, Rob. You are never escaping." That is exactly it.
Do you know what? It would be a pleasure, Ed.
Would
be a
it?
pleasure, absolutely.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so you know, and Rob is thinking as he sat there, you know, like, who are my 3? Who are my 2? Like, in other words, and this is outside of church, this is odd, but in church, we're brothers and sisters, we're reliant on each other. This is just a brilliant example of Rob bringing a bunch of skills and insights and whatever that you couldn't bring. It's not just another body in a room. It's such a good perspective. Church is that. I remember once sitting, a large part of being a kids worker is endlessly having coffees with people trying to persuade them to be Sunday school teachers. And I remember sitting down with Louis in a coffee shop. Louis was willing to have the coffee with me, first good start. Willing to hear what was involved in being a Sunday school teacher, good start. Wanting to do it, good start. Step 4, head in his hands at the end of a coffee. "Ed, I don't think I can do this." Real seriousness. "Louis, why?" "Ed, I've been an accountant for so long. I don't think I've got any colour to offer the children at all. I've got no creativity left." He meant it. He felt excluded from being a Sunday school teacher because he was an accountant with 10 years experience. If you're an accountant, you're loved by the Lord. I got to say to Louis, there's going to be kids in our class who are going to grow up to be accountants. They're going to dream of being an accountant. They're going to dream of numbers. They're going to love numbers. Those kids need you in the class. You don't have to be cool for every kid. An exercise happened in a local church that I know really well was they asked their kids for their heroes, and one of them said Richard. And when the pet leader told me Richard, their Sunday school teacher, the guy laughed. Said, "Honestly, I cannot tell you the geek Richard is." We all looked at this and thought it was incredible. And we just asked this kid, why Richard? He's always there. He's always the first one to talk to me when I come in. He's pleased to see me when I arrive. The leaders love Richard. But it's the idea that Richard is this kid's hero. He's been elevated to it just for his care. Turning up. Richard's definitely one of the 5 for that kid. That kid will never forget Richard in his life. Let me show you a video. You may not be able to see it in a well-lit room, but it's an American drama who have made a clip of a kid being legally adopted. Weirdly, I told you yesterday about this moment that happened to a friend of mine, but this is a drama version. And this is, so it's a kid being adopted, parents there legally, and the wider family have turned up for the legal occasion. It's just a couple of minutes. This is the 5.
Feel free to sit to the front if it's easier.
Yes. You'll hear it even if you won't see it.
Come in.
Your Honor, we have
Hi, we have
Yes, come on in.
Braverman.
Great.
All right, yes,
There's actually
This is Salsa, he's a lizard.
This will take a while.
That's a good idea. Just
Okay, all right, come on in. Come in, please, come in. Okay, close the door. Okay, everyone, please, hello, everyone, please. All right, welcome.
thank you.
All right, so Joel and Julia Graham.
Yes.
Yeah, hi.
Yes.
So now you understand that by signing this adoption agreement form, you agree to take care of Victor as your own legal child, right? To provide for his health, his welfare, his educational needs.
We do.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Victor, do you understand? Do you agree to this adoption?
Yeah.
Okay, then. All right, well, then, unless anyone has anything to add, I'm ready to make it official.
Your Honor,
Yes,
if I
sir.
may.
Yeah.
As grandparents, my wife Camille and myself will do the best we can to give Victor what we've given our own children, which is our undying love and support. And also, being a baseball aficionado, I would like to teach him the art of fielding the hot grounder.
Okay.
But hey, that can wait till later.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, if I may, I'm Adam Braverman. I'm Zeke and Camille's oldest son, and I promise to be your uncle. Listen, your Aunt Christine and I are no substitute for your stellar parents, but we promise to be there for you no matter what.
You can always come to me, Victor, if you need help, and I promise I won't rat you out to your mom. I can give you dating advice.
And I can help repair the terrible damage that her
What is
dating
this?
advice does.
I'm willing to teach you how to ride a motorcycle and play an instrument. Your girl troubles will vanish immediately once you know those 2 things.
And you can come to my house anytime. You can play Xbox and you can sleep over and stuff.
Now that you're adopted, you can officially hold my lizards.
Okay.
I promise to love you, buddy.
Yeah, no matter what.
Me too. Okay.
It's quite a family you're coming into. All right, on this date, January 24th, 2013, Joel and Julia Graham have officially adopted Victor Graham. You're now legally their child. You have all the rights of any natural child.
Okay.
I will hereby sign this order confirming the adoption. All right.
Judge, can I use your gavel?
Sure, why not?
Thank you so much.
Beautiful family now.
They're something, aren't they?
Yeah.
We have an eternal family. All the rights of a regular child. That's what adoption means in God's family. We are actually brothers and sisters. We are actually looking out for each other's kids. Just turn to the person next to you. we're almost done. Our time is almost up. How does this change how we walk into church? How does this change how we do church during the week? Have you had 5 growing up? If you're a parent here, do you have 5? Is there something about the culture of your church that makes this harder? Is there something about the culture of this church, your church, that makes this better? Have a chat. Person next to you. We're basically finishing up. Where have we got to? How are you doing?
Well, I became Christian at teenager years. I was the only Christian in my family, so definitely not in my family. I don't know. That's why I've never said the importance of having pride, because I don't think that I like it. I'm not saying that that's not important. It's just that it's something what I hadn't considered for myself and something what I probably should have. Because something to think about. Join into this conversation. So who are the levels for kids? Because I think that I don't think that she can really when you say she can set that like it's a connection with
Maybe not. Can't rule it out as a possibility. How that involved in 6 months. What to do about it. Okay, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to share it with our group
Yeah.
about
two families that we know that have done life together, you know, we've known them for over 20 years, and just now seeing their young, it was their two sons actually. They've got four, but their sons really impacted me this time, being a 24-year-old and a 18-year-old, just how they were interacting with our 9 and 7-year-old and just hanging out with them and spending time. And then I realised there was something in this family dynamic that they had with another family. So it's the Ewan family and the Beecham family, and they just do life together. And I was just thinking that sometimes it might not be a formalised asking someone to be to this. I don't know how some people are with commitment, or like you said, some people might step back. Just being intentional about who we spend time with and do life with as families.
Brilliant.
Because I see that this family, they've really grown together, and they're completely two different cultures, but the way they do life together. One is an Indian Mauritian family. The other one is an English family, Scottish English. They've just grown together over 20 years and done life together. They are a family. Within a family, and it's just really impacted me seeing their family. So it's making me think.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
As well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And how those two families would know about the problems in each other's families. Like they would know which of the children is unhappy at the moment in the other family. They would know the challenges they've got. They would be sensitive in the conversation. So to grow up knowing, and even you get to discuss what the Lord is doing in another family, it takes some of the heat out of your own. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Yes?
Very briefly, I think one needs to realise that it's always two-way, because I was incredibly blessed with what happened this morning. It's no way is it a one-way thing.
Absolutely.
So if you're asking somebody to be a mentor, whatever you term it, don't think it's just one way for your kids, you know, it's two ways. It's two ways.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember talking to a counsellor about this and just saying, don't you find it exhausting? And there is an element of exhaustion. But he was saying, I am always the first one blessed in caring for others. Always. And I think that's most of our experience.
We had a guy called Daniel, who's a student, and I know one of my kids just enjoyed talking to him, and so we invited him round. You know, it was great for him to got a meal with us, and he really enjoyed just being around the chaos. I don't know why, but he did. But he was someone we would invite back. We enjoyed his company, he enjoyed ours, and we could see he had a bit of a connection with our kids. He'd play the piano with them, he would draw something out of them, and it was so mutually beneficial. He loved it, and he was passing through Luton. He was there for a year and a half. We had him around and moved on. But he's someone my kids will sort of look back. They remember Daniel. They remember how he made them feel.
So good.
He follows the rules.
So good. And maybe as a parent, there's just you're helping us because you're aware that as a parent, you can be thinking like, no one wants our chaos. I don't want to burden someone else with what's making me, and these two stories are both saying, be very careful of deciding what is a burden. Be very careful of being God to that. Great. Let me just finish by telling you something of Faith in Kids. Inside the front cover, we are all about confident parents. That is, parents not because they think we're acing it, but confident that the Lord has this. Thriving churches. The data in the UK is black and white. If your church has under 16s, your church could grow. If your church doesn't have under 16s, it won't grow. It's totally black and white. Thriving churches in the UK at the moment are those with children. 2/3 of churches in the UK have less than 5 under 16s. The churches that are growing are the ones with more than 5 under 16s. So we are for thriving churches, working together with the parents to raise children to trust in Jesus eternally. We are trying to cater for 3 people. The church leader, the kids leader normally finds us through the free downloads, and the parents normally find us through the 2 kinds of podcast I mentioned. One is for the parents. They come out fortnightly. They're now on YouTube as well as every podcast channel. There's a 5-year back catalogue of them. This is just one that was very popular, most requested. We did a mini-series on autism. What is it Christians are saying? Talking to Christian parents, talking to Christian teenagers about it as well. And then the other stream is Faith in Kids. It's now called Faith in Families. It's been rebranded since this slide. It's 20 minutes. It's Jam and I. Jam is a professional comedy writer. He writes comedy for the BBC. He writes the sketches. He gets his mates who are professional actors to perform the Bible reading. I do a 4-minute talk, and then I give you the chat in the car. So the thought is, can I help you do the family Bible time? Because if you're driving at 60 miles an hour on a motorway, your children can't leave the family Bible time. So you press pause, you have a chat. Most parents who struggle to open the Bible with their kids say they're amazed by the answers their kids are giving. Get in touch. I'll stay around for a chat. Why don't I pray? Father, I thank you most for the stories we've shared this morning. Rather than from me, it's the stories of hope, the stories of blessing, the stories of where we see families supporting one another. We see individuals stepping into families. We see the beauty of the church. We see that the church is your way of raising children and of supporting parents. I do pray, Father, that we would not be so proud as to withhold the church from our kids in a deep, intimate, profound way. Be gracious as we each struggle on. Help us to see eternity, our eternal family. Amen. Amen. Thanks, friends.